obviously we have our political ideals, but that's not to say I'm not going to speak to somebody who has a different political view of the world. Obviously, when it comes to stuff like race, that's different. I wouldn't have any time for somebody who has no tolerance at that level. But we all have an opinion, and I guess Steve is. It just so happens that we both have a very similar view on a lot of the topics that he sings about. So it works out well.
Has there ever been a point, like a song where like, I don't know about that, saying it that way or what? Like, has there ever been any of those?
Well, Hip Shaker is about Steve being a dancer and wanting to get noticed, whereas I don't tolerate that opinion at all of myself. I like to just dance in the corner on my own.
That's right. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Innersleeve Music Podcast, the WatchMojo program taking you behind the scenes for an exclusive look at all things music. I'm Cassius Morris, Joe Pacheco joining me on the line. What's up, Joe?
Not much, man. I just got distracted by this beautiful little bumblebee just hovering around here outside my window.
You got a scenic view over here. I'm jealous.
Yeah, no, I'm blessed. Like, I got a decent little view, Nothing crazy. There's no ocean or, beautiful landscapes. But, it's
well, you'll see some nice mountains of snow very soon. So for our landscape,
yeah, I think we got enough snow that it literally blocks my entire window. I'll just see white, like a big, which is a good diffuser, for light and stuff. But anyway.
I think it looks pretty cool. Well, it's definitely better than what's been going on in some parts of the world. I just wanted to, from my end over here, extend a huge amount of love and support to everybody in the hurricanes right now. I don't know if you've been seeing these pictures in Florida, Joe, but talking about people's windows being covered. People's windows are up to here in water. Basically, they're sitting on floaties in their houses, some people. It's insane.
Man, I don't know. Like, I honestly, like, I've sort of cut the cord. Like, I don't watch much TV and stuff. But when I do see or hear people sharing stuff, it's crazy. I went to Miami way back, and right after, like, the first couple of weeks of September, right after a major storm, and it was like so weird to see like businesses and houses boarded up. And then when you go into, let's say, like a grocery store, like maybe if you're lucky, you'll find one jug of milk. And I found a stick of butter only, not even the whole wrap, or a box. Like, it was all emptied out because, you're going to be sheltering in for a few days for sure, And it's messed up, man, because I wouldn't even know what to do there, right? You're such beautiful property. Right?
Exactly.
But then you have this risk of every year, twice a year, sometimes, boom. And then the other side, it's wildfires. Nuts.
Exactly, right? And I mean, even the hurricanes in the east coast of Canada and everything. So listen, we just, extending our love and support to everybody out there who may have been affected. And we definitely hope all of our SoundMojo family out there continues to stay very safe and continues to power through. Today we have a really fun episode of Innersleeve. It was an honor and a privilege to be joined by the gentlemen from Motorcycle Display Team. Always a great time having the guys on the show.
Yeah, those guys, like I'm telling you, I was here editing like their interview, and I just kept laughing because it's just so funny. Always it's like the Brits, they have this sense of humor, and I always say that, so
it comes natural to them.
Yeah, it's always a blast talking to those guys, Morgan and Steve, and like they have really interesting album, man. Like, I think it's definitely worth checking this album out. Like Wereman. I mean, everybody's gonna say that kind of thing, but like even I was surprised, and I've had the demos for like 2 years. I've listened to them, and I've listened to their other stuff as they've been on SoundMojo a few times with a few videos. I mean, on the channel. But I was really like taken aback by this album. I'm saying, wow, it's a real departure, for them, but still in keeping with what they do, So
but it's very experimental, and like the themes that they tackled as well were super interesting. Also, we talked in this episode about the fact that this was recorded almost entirely on the water on a boat. Yes, on a boat, guys. So I mean, is this a first, Joe, for an album to be recorded at sea?
No, I don't think
it can't be the first.
Pink Floyd's guitar player, David Gilmour, has the Astoria, which is like this beautiful refurbished old, I don't even know what type of a boat it is anymore. I'm drawing a blank, but it's like really old, back in the 1800s or like days. And he has a studio there, full-fledged, beautiful, like studio. And they told me, they were like, oh, we're recording on a boat. And I was thinking, what?
Yeah.
So cool. Like, but it's moored, like it's docked and stuff, but it's such a cool vibe. And I think even from what I remember, my nerdish recording magazine reading, local producer here. Now I'm drawing. Anyways, he produced what's Sarah McLachlan.
Right.
I forgot his name now. Pierre something. Anyways, he had a sailboat and he loved recording on a sailboat and stuff.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it must be cool. Dangerous and cool, but like Steve says in the thing, sometimes you're in the middle of a take and like, whoa, the tide comes in and you're like, what's going on,
It was definitely cool to hear about how they did it.
Yeah, for sure. And they worked with a great producer, mixer as well. Anyways, we're getting in on it, but like you'll see in the interview, we tackle so many cool subjects about the making of and the writing of their album.
Hopping into some news in the world of music, a very sad story coming out of hip-hop. The man behind Gangsta's Paradise, of course, rapper Coolio, has passed away at the age of 59. Now, this is a very sad story. Of course, Coolio, I would say one of the main staples, Joe, if you really look at it, in 90s hip-hop, even though it wasn't necessarily for that many songs, the impact he had with very few songs was pretty much unlike any other.
There's used to be a negative connotation, I think maybe still, of like a one-hit wonder kind of guy or person or band or whatever it may be. But I honestly only knew him for this song. But I mean, what a song, right? And if I had to pick one song, like that kind of thing, like why not be this one massive hit? Look, it sustained them for how long?
So many years. I feel like this is a hip hop song too, that people who don't even like rap, they like this song. It's like people know the words to this track. It also freaks me out, Joe, to think about the fact that I'm 23 now and he raps in the song, I'm 23, will I live to be 24? So, I mean, the fact that he was in that mindset, that heavy mindset at this age is, I think he was ahead of his time and also mature for his age too.
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, as usual, I didn't dive deep, so I don't know much about his catalog and stuff. But I mean, I was, I hadn't heard about him for so long, until now his passing, and it's like, well, what has he been up to? What's he been working on?
Well, it appears that he was actually planning, I think, don't call it a comeback, but it looks like he was coming back in some way, shape, or form. Reports have it here that he was planning his very first Las Vegas residency, which, of course, is where they give a theater or a concert venue to an artist for like a month or two at a time, to keep, kind of like a Broadway show, a theater show, to keep coming in Vegas. He was planning that. Also, word, Joe, that he was recording music and dialogue, and he finished a lot of this for the show Futurama before he died, which is, I can't picture what in the world would have spawned that, but I mean, I think that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's something you probably wouldn't be, no one was expecting, right? Sadly.
100%, but we got reactions from everybody in the rap world, from Ice Cube to Snoop Dogg saying rest in peace to Coolio, and definitely, I know he's been called a one-hit wonder many times, but I think, again, given the impact of what he did in such a short period of time, it definitely stands alone. And if I was a one-hit wonder, Joe, I would want to be a guy like Coolio, because, again, it sustained him for so many years. So definitely, rest in peace.
I said one hit wonder only because you mentioned it in the sense before we got onto the show. So, because I honestly just thought he continued with his career and that he had maybe released 10 albums. So I don't even know that. But I
definitely don't think they were at the level of Gangsta's Paradise. But I mean, he definitely has other music to speak of for sure.
But see, it's what I've always said. I've noticed this trend as a young kid, where bands would come out with these massive, or these songs that it's on their album, it's just as good as any other song on their album. Sometimes all the songs on the album are kick-ass. Yeah. But one just takes off and the radio gets a wind of it and it becomes a huge single. And then it's almost like you can never get back up there again because people only know you for this,
It takes on its own life almost.
I mean, is it safe to say that the song is bigger than the movie even?
I would say absolutely, yeah. I mean, this song is, I would say there's a lot of people who don't even know who made this song, but they know the song.
Yeah, my kids, as well. Actually, my son, 10 years old, knew. He's like, hey, Coolio died. That's so
That's
sad.
crazy,
I'm like, wow. I'm like, Coolio? Like, wow.
And of course, Weird Al as well with the, the parody. So definitely a staple in pop culture.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopping over to some news in the world of rock, Roger Waters, of course, the acclaimed singer-songwriter and bassist of Pink Floyd, one half of the songwriter duo of the group, has been on a rampage lately. He's been on his This Is Not a Drill tour, and apparently this is not a drill, because from the jump in the beginning of this tour, this entire tour has been completely politically charged, and I think there's a lot of layers to exactly how this is played out, Joe.
Oh yeah, I know. Like when you brought this up, like for us to talk about this stuff, and I'm like, I went through and I'll scroll here. I went through the length of the article.
Yeah,
and I was like,
it's all
a couple
politics,
of paragraphs
guys.
in, I'm like, I'm not a political person, and this is way over my head. So I was almost like, I don't even know if I want to talk about the story. But we both said like, well, we don't have to go into the details of the story and what he said or what he's saying, because we know Roger Waters has always been a political person and has always fought against what he believes, right? So this is just more of the same, I think, personally. But the interesting thing for me, takeaway, because I fall into this camp of where he starts the show by saying, imitating a plummy British announcer and telling the audience, if you're one of those, I love Pink Floyd but can't stand Roger Waters people, you might as well fuck off to the bar right now. Thank you, and please enjoy the show. Yeah, thank you for my money, for your money.
Exactly.
But yeah. I'm definitely in one of those guys in the sense that I don't hate this guy at all. I mean, I mean, he's part of one of my all-time best music bands, experiences, whatever you call it. I've just never really gone into his solo stuff. And can't afford to go to his shows. Like, I mean, I just can't afford to go to his shows, Like,
they're expensive, man.
I went to a David Gilmour show, and it cost me like $100.
Yeah, see, that's crazy.
And it was incredible. It was like a 3-hour show. So I can't pay $400 or $500 to go see Mr. Waters. I would love to, because I know it's going to be a good show.
That's the thing. Even at 79, man.
Yeah, man.
It's insane. I thought he was maybe like 70, but I mean, it's crazy to think about the energy he commands and like the passion he still has. I mean, most people, I think, when they get older, and correct me if I'm wrong, like, but having observed people who are like in their 70s and 80s, a lot of them seem to stop caring about this stuff and like just sort of become unaffected by the world, or they seem to maybe get more into it. Others.
Do you mean like maybe someone not in the spotlight? Because someone like me, let's say, not in the spotlight, like you're fed up of who cares,
Exactly.
It seems like whatever, but he's in the spotlight, and he gets that, and maybe there is an effect, and he has a platform to speak from. But like, I wonder, like, is it, because in this case, like if I'm gonna go to a Roger Waters show, I want to get away from all this crap. I want to get away from all the political and all the craziness. I want to enjoy music. So. I wonder, like, someone who goes and see a show, maybe we'll ask the audience this question, like, if you're going to go see Roger Waters or anybody else, or maybe just someone who's politically charged or known to be politically, charged, like, do you want to go to the show and hear what he has to say about the current events? Or do you just like, man, dude, just play music, and I just came here to listen to music? So let us know in the comments below what you think. Like, would you rather go to a show knowing that he's going to be this type of character, or nah, man, just let me listen to some music? What do you think, Cassius?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you the same thing, but I mean, I'll answer. I would say for me, I think it's okay. Especially, look, I think we also have to factor in the status of who's doing it. I mean, when you're at legend status like this, I feel like you have a lot more leeway to do what you want. You've given so much to the world of what we want as listeners. I think that there is a time and a place to go out there and get what you want out of it. And I think Roger Waters is really at that point. I think he's been subtle enough in his career. He's tried to sort of weave things in. And I think he's at the point now where, with his age, he just maybe wants to scream it into a megaphone now and not be subtle. And I think he's earned that. But that being said, I also think there's a time and a place for a concert where you just go and forget about your problems. I don't always want to be thinking about the strife of the world. But, I think that it's a fine line, and he's definitely teetering on it. But what do you say on this one?
If I would go to Roger Waters, I would expect it, but maybe not
that's the thing.
Every intervention or every chance he gets, kind of thing, because the music is already so politically charged, in a lot of cases, the songs and stuff. And I don't mind, like, okay, introducing a song and talking about this or whatever, but like the whole show, yeah, it probably would tend to get on my nerves a bit, like, dude, I just came here to watch a show, kind of thing. But I mean, it depends too, your mood might just be like, wow, this just works with everything that's going on. I don't know, but I'm curious to know what our audience thinks about this type of stuff, like, would you be, especially if you're paying $400 and up or whatever for a show, and
insane,
whatever. I don't know. Yeah.
Let us know in the comments.
Exactly.
Hopping over to the SoundMojo Community tab. Of course, this is the comms tab on our YouTube channel, which is almost at 30,000 subscribers, by the way. So definitely thank you guys so much. Make sure to go hit that subscribe. And once you get there, you can come weigh in on some of these polls. We have these brand new image polls that we've been running. And should we just jump right into these, Joe?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Might as well. This top one here is, now this is probably, I would say in modern day hip hop, one of the most divisive questions, next to Biggie versus Tupac. I think that these are two guys who are relentlessly compared to one another. Of course, Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole. Where would you weigh in on this one just on first glance here?
First glance, you can see my selection right here.
Yeah.
I chose Kendrick Lamar only because I know him better. I'm more of his stuff than J. Cole. And to be honest, I shouldn't even be allowed to vote because I don't have I wouldn't have an argument between
access
one or
revoked.
The other. Yes.
I would say for this one, for me, I personally voted J. Cole just due to the fact that first of all, I just find him a lot more relatable as a human being. Kendrick, I find him to be an incredible talent. I've always found that, but I've never found him to be relatable. Also, as time has gone on, he's developed this God complex, and it's not, doesn't take a genius to see that. He's literally wearing a crown of thorns. So it's like, I think anybody with a God complex that thinks they're above sort of the masses, I find that hard to relate to. Whereas J. Cole, he'll talk about really serious issues, but he'll say, usually I don't preach because I'm not a god or I'm not, a prophet or anything like that. So I appreciate that humble attitude of J. Cole, and he's kept that through his whole career. So that for me, Joe, is what gives J. Cole the edge. I'm just a bigger fan of his.
Yeah. And GameX Simmons chose I find myself wanting to listen to Kendrick and his albums more often than J. Cole. Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough.
And this one has nothing to do with the poll, so we'll just move on.
Any country music? I mean, it may be.
Yeah. And this one, I was curious to know about this one. See what people.
Now, this is a bone crusher or a heart crusher for a metalhead because it's so hard to pick between these two. Let's see, Master of Puppets versus And Justice for All.
We got 74 votes. We have 84 for Master, which is what I picked as well. But I so love And Justice for All. This, to me, it wasn't necessarily that hard because Master has always been my favorite album. And that's the one that introduced me to the band. So I have a special place for it, but I have a special place for all the first four Metallica albums in my heart.
Yeah.
And Justice was the one I was already playing guitar for a little longer, 2-3 years. So I was able to, and I had so much fun playing along with this album every day. It was part of my, when I get home from school, I had a regimen, besides not homework. Homework had nothing to do with it, but I'd get home. And if I'd play guitar, I would play through And Justice for All, the entire album.
That's
just the
awesome.
Rhythms and some of the solos, just to tighten up my rhythm and to really get a workout. So I'd play the whole album, and then I would, for right after that, I would play Joe Satriani's "Flying in a Blue Dream" just to get that nice, fluid playing and stretch out a bit and improvise. But this album for me was, I know it so well that it's hard to pick between the two. I would pick this over the Black Album any day. I would pick this probably over Kill 'Em All because I love Kill 'Em All as well. But anyway, in this case, Master of Puppets won.
That's a solid choice. You know what? For me, I like Master a lot, but I would say that I voted And Justice. I feel like I'm voting all the unpopular choices today, but hey, whatever. It's just because I find that there's less skippable songs on there for me personally. I think every song on And Justice for me, I like.
What do you skip? What do you skip on Master? I'm curious.
For me, I don't care really too much for Sanitarium.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Right,
I know.
pull
That's
the plug.
crazy.
It's over. It's over.
Fired.
No, I'm joking.
And
I was figuring you were going to say
Orion-
something like, dude, no, stop there. Don't not continue that word. I thought you were going to say Leper Messiah, which I could understand.
That one too.
Yeah, that one I can understand, but Orion or oh my God, no, that's
But for me, I mean, I would prefer Short as Straw. You know what I mean?
Dude,
I don't know.
It's funny that you said that because I used to play that album, let's say, I was saying in rehearsal, and then the guitar solo for Short as Straw, really tricky kind of solo, So and that was very, and because it's no crazy delay sounds where you can hide behind, this is dry in your face, what I mean? The And Justice. And I never thought about it, but we had a discussion with one of the artists we had, Under Auburn Skies on Innersleeve, and I remember they're saying, yeah, Justice is more of a progressive metal album, and it's true. I never really thought of it. I don't see it as progressive metal, but it is in that aspect.
It was ahead of its time in a way. And, let's not forget, of course, that incredible beefy bass sound, the highlight of the album.
Yeah, I know. Everybody complains about that, but yeah, poor Jason. First album.
Poor Jason. We love you, man.
Yeah. So we have GB16 who Master of Puppets because it's a good song. Can't fault you there.
Yeah, can't fault that.
And Pooh Gamer chose I Choose Master. So,
okay.
Definitely. So yeah, we're definitely gonna have more of these. We want to challenge people, get you to, like this, where we put two albums of the same band against each other. To really make it hard. So we're gonna be doing this with so many different aspects. Musicians, artists, bands, albums. So yeah, definitely look out, and we hope you participate.
So now is the part of the show where we hop into our weekly music suggestions from our audience. Of course, this is a post that we put up every single week on the comms tab, and we have you guys comment the songs you want us to listen to, and we put them on and react on the air. And another great bunch. The one thing I notice about our audience is that they have impeccable taste, I must say.
Man, yeah, you said it. I back it. Ditto. It's crazy how diverse and how every time, it's rare to someone I know. Like, oh, I don't know this guy. Oh, I don't know this person. This week there's a few that I knew of, but yeah, definitely, man. It's great diversity of styles, which is right up my alley, right?
So let's hop right in with the first track from Trivium. And I want to get your thoughts on this first, Joe, because I feel like this is probably more so in your wheelhouse. I would assume this is not your first Trivium song.
It's funny that you said that, because you're 100% right. This would be normally, and this is a band I've heard of forever, but sadly, I never got around to listen to an entire album. And I always told myself, I should check these guys out, because it was right around the time, and maybe this is why there's so many good bands at that time in the 2000s, mid 2000s to 2010s. So I really got into Soilwork. I really got into In Flames at the time. Children of Bodom was really big. Opeth. So there just wasn't enough time to listen to Trivium, but I always heard good things of these guys, and I always said I definitely should check these guys out. What did you think of the song Pull Me From the Void?
Honestly, I thought it was. I could see why people like it, but for me, it's not my cup of tea personally.
Okay. In what sense? It's what doesn't make it your
I didn't
cup of
really
tea?
connect with it. It just, I think that it's just that type of rock I never really listened to that much. But I don't know. I feel like there's certain bands like System of a Down and stuff, like bands that are really popular that for me it just doesn't really hit that much. So I think it's just one of those things. But I mean, I think that's the cool thing is that we can get all different variables.
Oh yeah. It's like a Slipknot for me. For some reason, I just don't get them. This was right around the time of Avenged Sevenfold, so all these bands were just taking up more room in terms of the Trivium. I'm the same as you. Nothing wrong with the song. The production is great. I just found the song a little bit underwhelming not
to me.
Energetic enough. It just sounded good, well produced. And it's classic metal vibes with better production or modern production, But I know there's other songs that would probably get me a little bit more, I just find this one just was pretty one level kind of thing,
I agree, but I mean, we appreciate the suggestion nonetheless that came in from GameX Simmons. So shout out to our friend there. The next one that I had written down here was Joan Jett, Bad Reputation, the acoustic version.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
I didn't even know this was a thing yet. And
I had no clue of this.
Same here, and what's cool with this one is that I thought they just took old vocals and put them over acoustic tracks because they sound like that. They sound like the originals almost. They have the same vibe, so that was carried over, which made it much more enjoyable for me. I mean, I just love Joan Jett. I can't really say anything.
I think she's awesome, but for me, that song is sort of lost its oomph, the original. And the original actually came on autoplay right after. And I was like, you know what? I think the acoustic for me right now is the better version. It had that, it kind of reminded me of that Guns N' Roses Lies acoustic, because it was that hard driving acoustic. You know what I mean? It wasn't that boring stuff. And I really liked it.
And it's the first ever acoustic album she's recorded. So that's
insane. So this was a newer album, or was this older?
Yeah, 2022 just came out.
Wow, holy! So she's still got the voice, hey?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Wow.
Like,
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. I thought that this was just like a version from like the 80s or 90s after that.
Yeah, I thought this was like, I thought it was like, oh, let's take the original tracks and add guitars or something to it. So, because it had maintained that bad reputation vibe, you know? So, yeah,
well, in that case, then I'm very impressed.
What'd you think of another Game X Simmons Classified? Anybody listening?
Oh, so this one, I actually went way back with this one. The thing with me is that I grew up in the east coast of Canada in Halifax for 5 years. I think it was like from the age of, it was like 9 to 14. So basically, Classified was the king of Halifax. He came from a small town outside of there called Enfield, Nova Scotia, which has like 2,000 or 3,000 people in it. And this guy, you know, he was a legend. And when I first got my start actually interviewing when I was like 13 or 14, he was the first big artist who actually let me come to the radio station with my little tape recorder and do a little interview with him. So, yeah, I mean, I love the song Anybody Listening, though.
Yeah, I was listening to it and I thought it was good. Nothing, you know, like Classified, I knew was from your neck of the woods kind of thing. And I heard about it maybe in 2015, so I didn't hear this. And like I said, I thought it was good. Nothing wrong with it. Very different, you know, at the time. Because like I love the fact that he used I hate the fact that he used the sample, but I like that song from Phil Collin. But I
wonder if
like,
he got sued for that.
No, I doubt it, because I hope he's
Probably
smart
bought
enough
it, right?
to have licensed it, because like, don't be stupid. You would like ruin your career, or you know, you'd make no money on it. Normally, I really do not like this new trend, and maybe he's one of the first guys who started it back then. But like, it seems like people are just taking off the catchiest choruses in history and reusing them, and then just use anything as a verse. You know, so this way it's like, because back in the late 90s, 2000s, the easiest way to get noticed or maybe get played on the radio was to do a cover version, a heavier version of a song, an 80s song, or a super ballady version of something that was heavy, you know, like just to really.
A lot of covers back then.
Yeah. So like, and everybody was like, well, now you have to have a cover on your album. It's the only way to make it. It's the only way to get airplay or whatever, this and that. So I started to really resent that, because I love covers. I love songs and I love like different versions of it. And now I find as a trend, there's like a song now that's popular now with what's that song? They use the chorus from I'm Blue, Dabba Dee Dabba Die, whatever, that kind of stuff.
Oh,
and like,
I mean, there's so many I can't even keep track now.
Well, that's it. And I hate it. I literally, every time I hear it, I turn it off. The song could be good, but it just turns me off. Grumpy old me just like, screw
it's
you,
like the
man.
movie remakes where they keep redoing, you know, Michael Myers over and over again. Like,
well, that's it, you know. Like, and I just call it lazy songwriting. Like, write your own. And I always say this: write your own fucking songs. You know, stop stealing other people's choruses and like, oh, let me do anything for a verse. Anyways, I'm ranting. But,
you're right though. Speaking truth.
I just like think it's lazy, man. You know, it's just like, oh, okay, let's get this because it's gonna get people's attention. You know, so it's
that's
like,
a
whatever.
fact.
You turned me off, you know, but whatever. They're there, I'm here, so like here we are, right?
No doubt. So what's the next one here? We have hold on a second. Was it Goodbye Horses by Q Lazarus?
Sure. Yeah, Q Lazarus, Goodbye Horses, suggested by Hier Unzeit.
I thought this was awesome. Yeah, hopefully we're getting that name right. I thought this song was awesome, Joe, except for the fact that it was just too damn long. Like after 5.5 minutes, I'm like, goodbye horses, goodbye audio. Like just stop. I need to stop hearing it. But otherwise, I thought it was great. Like,
yeah, I think it was really cool. And one thing that really, like, I'd never heard of Q Lazarus, so
me either.
That's for sure.
It sounded familiar, but then I was thinking of Poe Lazarus. That's why from SoundMojo.
Yeah, and that's funny. Poe Lazarus. I just got an email from them yesterday for a new track that's going to be on SoundMojo. Anyway, I enjoyed the song. And what's really trippy about the song, considering it was 87 or 89 or something, it sounded like it was done today. Because of the whole lo-fi vibe, you know, and like, so it would pass today. Like, and you wouldn't even know that it was a song that was recorded 40 years ago almost.
Could be on TikTok today, too.
Yeah, no, so it's legit. The only thing for me, producer nitpicking with my ear, is that like the vocals sometimes really pitchy, you know, but like, I wouldn't have noticed it then. I'm only noticing it now after years of working in studio. And not only that, but like, people like to complain about auto-tune, but I think the fact that artists have used auto-tune for at least almost, 10, 20 something years now, I think a lot of the new singers, they hear stuff that's so in tune that they sing in tune. So I think singers are better.
It actually helps
that we've been listening. Yeah, because you're not hearing singers that are a bit off or whatever. You're hearing perfect pitch almost. So I think it just becomes into your psyche and you sing better, I think. So I think
that's a great point, actually. Wow.
I wonder if they should do an example, a study of that, like scientifically, and see like if it's really a thing. Like I don't know how you would do that.
Well, I think that we're going to start finding out a lot of new stuff because like there's new styles of singing coming out too. They're not overly technical, but it's like you can get away with singing, sort of like a Kanye West or even a Drake. Like he would never be compared to like a Whitney Houston, but he gets away with singing. So I mean, I like the genre bending and all the new stuff that's coming out now.
Yeah, and our final suggestion from not Donald Fagan was Mayor Hawthorne, Where Does This Door Go? And the name Mayor Hawthorne, I know, I've heard of it. Like it's there, it's something I've heard about over the years, but never again got an opportunity to really dig in. But I really enjoyed this one. This is my favorite of the week.
I like this one a lot. The title track to the album, obviously, I think the whole thing was interesting. And I like any song that's questioning sort of existential sort of energy or topics. I think it's interesting. It's something we can all relate to, going to the unknown, trying to see what's next. I like this a lot, Joe. I don't think we had a bad song suggested this week at all, actually.
No, what's funny is that it's true. I've heard this before where it's called yacht rock.
Yacht rock. Yeah, I've heard that actually. So that's like Kenny, what's his name? The guy who sings Patio Lanterns, like Kim Mitchell, guys like that.
No, I think that's maybe.
That's like backyard rock.
Yeah, that's backyard rock. Yeah, patio rock.
Yeah.
But this is like yacht rock. It's more sophisticated rock. Like you're rich, or it's like they call dad rock, right? The older bands are more
like
dad
Springsteen
rock. Yeah, I think so. That kind of stuff. So anyways,
stuff
it's
like that.
Because as soon as I read what he wrote, poppy yacht rock. When I press play, I'm like, yep, that's yacht rock. That's
right.
Definitely what I would think.
Confirmed.
But it's a great song. I love it, and it makes me. Definitely, like I put a note, check out the record, because like I like that kind of stuff. It sounds like an album I'd love to be in the studio recording. You know what I mean? Like putting all those layers together and the performances. It's a bit acousticy. There's some B3s, like warm sounds. Anyways, I love this kind of vibe. Like these are the sessions I used to love, like when you really got to these type of songs,
Its own sonic universe. Well, we appreciate you guys for sending in these suggestions, and make sure to stay tuned in for next Friday to send in some more. And you never know, maybe you'll get a shout out on the show and we'll react to your songs next. Now we're going to hop into the interview portion of today's show. We're, of course, joined by Steve and Morgan from MDT, the motorcycle display team, the lads themselves. As we said, a very fun episode.
The lads.
We have to keep saying it. That's like their second group name now. We appreciate these guys, always full of laughs whenever they come on the show. And, probably one of my favorite duo of guests to have on the show, Joe.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I'm biased. Like, they always just crack me up. I always love doing little things like this with them, and I still wanted to do some stuff with or have them on the show maybe more regularly, but it all depends on time constraints and stuff, because they're all the way on the other side of the Atlantic for us.
Right.
No, definitely, like, great musicians, great like songwriters, and like they don't write they write in typical song, chorus, whatever, but I never found anything they did typical in terms of like the rock or their approach, so that's what I love about them, and they're always like, whenever I talk with them, they're always like super nice. They treat me really nice. So it's like, it's nice. It's nice to be.
It's good, man. It's good to have them, to have people like that in the business. It can be rare as well. So, definitely a shout out to them. And
I know if we'd go for beers, like it'd be like all nighters, just.
Yeah, exactly. We'd have a whole couple episodes of the show after that. It would be awesome. We're going to hop into the interview now. We hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll be back right afterwards with our takeaways. Welcome back to Innersleeve. It's a pleasure to be joined by two IS alumni today on the show. Of course, we're talking about the guys from MDT, the motorcycle display team, Morgan and Steve. What's happening, guys?
Hey, good to see you, Cassius.
Hello.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, thanks so much for popping in.
Not at all. Thanks for having us.
It was a pleasure.
It's always a
100%.
pleasure.
So what's been going on with you guys lately? I mean, maybe get us up to speed on the MDT lifestyle as of late.
much the same as it has been for the last 2 years. I mean, it's just been ongoing. It doesn't feel like much has changed, to be honest.
Okay. So how does that work for you guys when you're creating? Is that a positive? Is that a throw off to you guys? I'm curious.
I'd say it's much the same. I mean, we still jam. We're still jamming once a week. We're still writing stuff when we get together, and then we'll take it home and mull it over, come up with some ideas, bring it back into the practice space, and work on it some more. It's much the same process.
Okay, so the pandemic doesn't seem to have broken things up too much for you guys. Then it's relatively structured in a similar way.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Yeah.
So you guys typically
it's just we're all getting these square eyes.
Yeah.
So is that how you guys typically work then? You guys typically are remote when you're collaborating?
No. We meet up, like as Steve said, at least once a week. I think the big thing for us at the moment is that we're gigging very, very soon. We haven't played a London show since the end of January 2020, just before the whole world changed. We did one gig this summer. I don't know if you guys are aware of a place called Canvey Island. It's just I live in Southend in southeast Essex, and just off it is this island called Canvey Island. Do you know the band Dr. Feelgood?
I've heard of the
album.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They're the big export from Canvey Island, but we played there in a club that I don't think would regularly necessarily. Well, we know they would not have a band like us there, and the patrons were definitely not our generation.
Were they older, younger?
I'll put it like this: we played you know, the Del Shannon song "Runaway."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the highlight of their night.
So not your number one crowd.
Yeah.
No. They weren't putting things about us on Instagram or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? There was a bit of jiving. But anyway, we did that show. It was their first show back with Matt, because obviously Matt rejoined the band last year. And that was great. They really looked after us. But yeah, that's the only kind of thing we've done live-wise. So yeah, we're really itching to get back playing now. We've got 4 dates in the diary over the next few weeks, and obviously trying to get a few more. So, but in terms of the other stuff, yeah, it's just business as usual for us. Just getting on with it, doing what we can, trying to write as many songs. And sorry, Steve's putting this finger up.
There is something we neglected to mention, that there's been more chapters in the saga of the ever rotating cast of people who are going to play with us. So through 2 more bases in the interim.
Wow.
And we've got an extra member now. So we're going to be a 4-piece for the first time in over a decade. This is going to be some interesting stuff, playing some live stuff with 4 of us, 2 guitars, 1 bass, 1 drums.
2 guitars. Is there a reason why? Is it because the new material is more guitar heavy?
There's some delightful little guitar lines that we worked on with Dave Holmes, our producer. And I thought I can't play those live at the same time as playing rhythm. So the songs would really be served by having that extra lead guitar parts. And so, yeah, that's why we've taken the plunge and gone for a 4-piece.
Nice.
How long would you say it takes? Sorry, Joe, I don't mean to jump on your question. How long would you say it takes for you guys to get used to a new member? Let's say someone just joins on day 1. How many days are we talking, or weeks, until you guys are a fully well-oiled machine?
I'd give it another 2. It's going to be at least another 2 years before I even acknowledge them in the studio.
You're like, who says we are a well-oiled machine?
Yeah.
We work on this plan for decades.
Right.
I love that. But the thing about it is, it's not like we just suddenly decided to look for a guitarist. It's something that we've always kind of been passively doing for years and years, just to fill out the sound. But we've never really been active about it. But because, unfortunately, Matt had a really, really bad accident in Bulgaria and had to have emergency surgery on his knee. So he couldn't come over. So Steve started the process of looking for someone to fill in for Matt's place, and in doing so, got a guitarist as well. So we have Brad and Vince joining us at the moment. So, and it's working out really nicely. They're really nice guys.
Yeah, so we're talking about Wereman, right? The new record out October 7th. You guys have been. I know I've privy to have the privilege of knowing you guys. You've sent me some of the stuff back in 2020, some of the stuff you were working on, and I have to say, like, as soon as I pressed play, like it's so funny when you hear demos and then you hear the finished product of the album. It has a whole new life, right? So, like, just I'd like to know, like, what was the process of writing it over obviously a big span of time, right? And then how did the recording process start?
We got a load of session musicians who are way better than us.
Put our credits on there.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. We're not on the record at all.
You're the
You just pay the
curators.
bills.
Well, in terms of writing it, we were angry about a lot of things that were unfolding in the world, especially in the English-speaking world, I guess, America and the UK. Because I'm married to an American, so like he's also quite close to my heart. Anyway, so
Right.
all of those things are just spilled over into the now. So all of the issues, the things that we were annoyed about, they're still happening, which is good. So all of those things that were subjects for the album, annoyed at the political process, annoyed at the state of the way that people can't have a conversation these days about something they disagree with. This partisanship has just gone completely off the rails. And a bunch of other things. The Me Too thing, we wrote a song partly kind of about that, about straight white men kind of getting a little bit of their comeuppance, and that's the little bit of pushback. That's Shut Up and Take Your Medicine. That's that tune on the track on the album.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all of those songs we were kind of writing over the period of several years, and then luckily these things are still right in the public consciousness, so they're still relevant.
Was it something that was? Was that?
I was just gonna say, I think a lot of these issues will unfortunately always sort of going to be relevant, right? Like it seems like everybody's into these. Do these 3 things and your life is going to improve. Buy these 5 things, and like everybody's looking for that simple, let me do the easiest lift, but like it takes a long time for real change. And I think we're sort of witnessing a lot of change in a lot of different things all at the same time. And I think that's what happens, where it's like everybody gets sort of pulled apart, and then with social doesn't help, right? So like we're all like, because like we're always talking about the same thing all day long. So now it's always in your face. Whereas before you'd see somebody 3 months later, you're not necessarily going to talk about the president or whatever, the prime minister, you're going to catch up. But now it's always in your face. So I find that's what the problem is like we're always talking about and arguing, at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
I retired from social a few years ago.
Yeah, I had to call it a quits.
I mean, I'll dip in every once in a while. If you're in a band, you can't really completely divorce yourself from it. But I don't personally dip in and give my 2 pence anymore.
I never did. I never saw the whole point of arguing. I just don't, like it's like everybody has their opinion, everybody has their whatever, but it's like I don't need to convince you. That's the thing. People are trying to convince you, and it's like I don't need to convince you. Like
it's like, do I win something if I convince you? Like, what's the incentive? I'm not really seeing it. So I mean, when you guys are writing about stuff like this, tracks like Armchair Politician, like clearly some very direct messages. At the same time, though, it doesn't feel preachy when I'm listening to it. It more so just feels like you're sharing your opinion. Is that a fine line when you're talking about serious topics like this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it sounds like if that's what you think, then I think it sounds like we hit the sweet spot.
Yeah, I think so.
We just switch off. But
that's the thing.
One of the big themes of this band is a sense of humor. you got to keep it light. But yeah, I don't know if we're trying to win people over as much as just making a statement. How do you feel about it more?
Yeah, well, like, you write the lyrics. And so, most of the ideas come from you. I'm more the music side of thing. But yeah, I would agree that, it's just kind of more sharing an opinion and an observation as opposed to trying to change attitudes. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously we have our political ideals, but that's not to say I'm not going to speak to somebody who has a different political view of the world. Obviously, when it comes to stuff like race, that's different. I wouldn't have any time for somebody who has no tolerance at that level. But, we all have an opinion, and I guess Steve it just so happens that we both have a very similar view on a lot of the topics that he sings about. So it works out well.
Has there ever been a point, like a song where like, I don't know about that, saying it that way or what? Like, has there ever been any of those?
Well, Hip Shaker is about Steve being a dancer and wanting to get noticed, whereas I don't tolerate that opinion at all of myself. I like to just dance in the corner on my own.
That's right. Unobstructed.
Yeah.
Speaking of that song, I found when I heard it, like I've heard like an acoustic version that Steve had sent me a while back, and I heard this one. I just found it was a great opening track for the album. Like it really sets you up to, you know, for the rest of the album. And like I found it was like from what I've over the last 2-3 years listened to you guys, I find it's a very different approach for you guys, different vibe on that song.
Yeah, the riff. I was I'm not going to say the song that I was playing one day, but I played it wrong. And I went, oh, I like this. And I sent it on, and then was one of the first ones that I think we started working on for this. But I would, in terms of the vibe and all of that thing, that's definitely down to Dave, who produced this record. When I first met him, the conversation was what I was hoping for this album. I said I wanted to sound like a cross between Physical Graffiti and the second Rage Against the Machine album. And I think he really took that on board. And I think if you hear, especially Armchair Politician and Hip Shaker, I think those, at least to my ears, that's what I can hear. But he really kind of got the harder side of it, because our previous records, I think we were kind of just softened down a bit, because live we are loud and a bit more aggressive, and I think Dave really captured that. And Hip Shaker especially, I think really kind of you get the vibe of the band on that song, especially when we're playing it live at the moment. It seems to have got somehow heavier, which I'm enjoying.
We've had now a few weeks now the Armchair Politician video on SoundMojo, which I found brilliant. Like I loved it. It gave me a bit of the Stanley Kubrick vibes, right? Like Clockwork Orange with the masks and the craziness, right? Was that? Am I right? Okay, so good.
Those guys are like the Droogs.
That's it. So tell us about the process of filming or coming up with it, filming it.
We got in touch with this very talented couple called Mihai how do I pronounce his surname? Felflea and Josephine Kronk, who were students, BA Film and TV students at London College of Communication. And we basically put an ad into that cohort, seeing if we could get someone to make a video. They replied to us. We met up with them. We discussed a few ideas. So it was based, really their whole idea was this. We liked it and we said, okay. So we shot it in January this year. I think it was one of the first things I did of any interest this year, at least. But what's interesting about the video, though, this is a bit of an inside joke for you. The guy at the end, the Armchair Politician, was initially supposed to be my friend Paddy Egan, one of my best friends from Ireland from years ago. But when it came closer to the day, he just couldn't get the time off work to do the video. So Steve got in touch with an old colleague of his, and he is the guy. What's his name, Steve?
Ed Robertson.
Yeah, that's it. So he's the guy who's the Armchair Politician. But if you look at the credits at the end, Paddy Egan's name was left in. So
that's good.
Still gets the credit. Yeah.
So he's gonna collect some checks.
I'll collect them for him.
There you go. Well, that's awesome. It was a great video, and the song is awesome. So, like, I wanted to mention it for sure.
Oh, there's a clip in the video that you can't really see it, that I actually do get punched in the face.
Really?
You just don't see it.
I shouldn't laugh.
For nothing. Suffering from my heart.
Exactly.
That is intense.
was director's motivation.
Yeah.
Okay. He gave you the little push needed.
Yeah.
Like that last scene in The Exorcist, you know.
Right, yeah. Hopefully with less lasting damage.
Was David Holmes, which is who produced the album, right? He engineered it too.
Yes,
Right?
he did the whole lot. He played little bits of guitar here and there as well.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lots of guitar. Fantastic musician. He even did put some bass down as well. Just excellent. He has his own band, Coretta, they're a New Zealand post-rock outfit, which you should check out also. But yeah, definitely he was an enormous part of the sound of this. And as Morgan said, I think musically this is a lot more kind of angular and angry, which kind of fits the lyrical content as well.
Yeah, it's like more aggressive, you know, like more of like, you know, like ragey. You know, like you said, Rage Against the Machines. That makes a lot more sense, you know?
No,
Yeah.
I can totally hear it in that context. So, I mean, how did you guys connect with David for this record? Was this someone you'd worked with before or been wanting to work with for a while?
No, we had a guy helping us out with bits and pieces like admin stuff and the whole lot. And it came time to doing the record. He just got in touch with a load of different studios. It was through somebody that we worked with. It was in another band, recommended Dave. So I went down to meet him one day at his studio. His studio was in a boat on the Thames, or the Thames, however,
boat?
whatever the correct pronunciation, on a river in London, a massive river
Awesome.
in London. Yeah, it's in a boat. And I'm not going to lie, getting the drum kit in and out down the stairs was a pain in
Oh
the
my
arse.
gosh.
Yeah.
Right, first day in the studio. Feels great to be back, man. And this is what we're going to be recording on, Lightship 95 Soup Studio. It's really cool. Going to be setting up and we'll be playing some tunes. I think we're going to do Mexicans first in this very Mexican location.
Really cool studio, really, really cool. He has subsequently moved into it. There's living quarters upstairs. So yeah, we went in, we had a chat. Then he started coming into rehearsals with us, and he was really, really involved from day one, and took loads of notes and was really, really produced instead of because we kind of had the experience of going to the studio, let's play and record, done, okay, next song. Whereas this was, we went in and bear in mind, we had the songs ready to go pre-pandemic, so it was during the first kind of ease of lockdown that we did the first half. So we knew the songs inside out, and we were very in the habit of playing them in a certain way. So we'd start playing, and next thing you go, okay, try it this way. Okay, try it this way. We were kind of hold on, this is not the fucking way I played it.
You're like, I kind of wrote this.
You know what I mean? We wrote it. Yeah, I know what I'm doing here. You know what I mean? But then by the second or third day, we figured it out. I was like, okay. But he really, really pushed us, which was brilliant, and got us out of our comfort zones. And we're incredibly proud of what he made us do.
Control room, live room, out room.
As a musician, it was a real test, though, being pulled in all of those different directions, playing something that you played for 2 or 3 years. Actually, you can play it up the neck. What? Can you play it in a different key? What is that?
Yeah.
So it was a fast, sometimes difficult periods during that session, but I think it's made us stronger, better musicians. And the record is definitely better for it.
Yeah, he definitely what I loved about it is he didn't what he brought to the table and the pushing that he did, but it didn't take away from the essence of he didn't completely change you guys around. Now you sound like someone else. It's still you guys, just tighter and angrier.
Yeah,
Just how we felt.
So
Yeah.
in terms of being on the boat, I'm wondering, were you ever told why you were on a boat? Like, was there anything acoustically that made it sound better? I mean, or was it just for fun because it's cool?
I
It's
think
cool.
the latter. Yeah.
I know
That's
when
awesome.
when I was getting the email saying, "Oh, we're going to record on a boat," I was like, "What? You're recording on a boat?" Then I got some pictures. I think I remember you sent it. I was like, "Wow, this looks amazing." I would have said yes. Want to record on the boat? Yes.
Yeah,
right
I mean,
away.
were there any other challenges that were really hard other than getting the drums in? Like, was the motion of the boat hard to record with at all?
Yes. Yeah, so it's moored. This is a boat that's a light ship, so it's like a floating lighthouse. There's no motor on the boat,
Oh,
so it's just moored opposite the Millennium. What used to be the Millennium Dome is now the O2. It's a big gig venue, and yeah, when the tide comes in, you might be mid take, and then suddenly your inner ear tells you that you're not standing on a flat surface anymore, and you need to get your ceiling. That's quite a weird one, but it was really good fun. But the fact that it doesn't have an engine room means there's a lot more space. In terms of sound, it was great. They've got an excellent drum sound, and they've got some amazing outboard, amazing equipment, amazing backline, amazing producer.
He also mixed it, right?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, and then you guys obviously
he did the whole thing.
Oh,
And
cool.
put
Yeah.
serious work into it. I mean, so many mixes coming our way that it really fine tunes your ear. So like, what am I listening for now? So much so that, I mean, we've heard this album many times, and I still enjoy it.
there you go.
Yeah.
You know, it's
So
good
that was
when there's surprises for the artist, right? Still.
Yeah, because he'd send us about 3 or 4 mixes, and I'd go, "Dave, this is brilliant. Cheers. Yeah, great." And then, no, I'm not finished. And he'd send back another 5 or 6, and each time's right. Okay, and you think, what else could you possibly do to make this better? And he would just push a guitar up or do something or make the vocals, just something. Do you know what I mean? That I would never think of.
Wow.
So yeah, the
This
guy
is why
he's a real talent. But I kind of resent sharing how good he is too much, because I don't become popular that we can't afford to work with him.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good move.
His price just went up.
Yeah, I'm curious to know how involved you guys are in the studio. Like, are you placing mics? Are you saying, I want to use this amp, I want to try this snare? How involved are you guys?
I mean, you get to have a play around on all the effects and all the amps. I ended up just playing through a Fender Bassman pretty much continuously.
Okay.
It just sounded so sweet. Put in the little isolation booth, which I guess was some kind of brig. I don't know what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, but then he laid down loads of guitars afterwards, and there's so many different tones and textures all over the record that I think makes it so rich.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, 100%.
And you guys had it mastered at the legendary Abbey Road Studios. What was that like? Was that always like the intention, or?
As far as I know, we were happy to mix it anywhere, but I know that Dave has a friend who mixes at Abbey Road, so he got in touch with him. And he thought that it would be like a good candidate to do it. Morgan went down there and drooled all over the place, as far as I can see from all the pictures he sent me and the texts. And yeah, he's really pleased with the turnout. And so was Dave, which was nice, because sometimes he was saying that he's not too satisfied with the way that his records get mastered, but in this case, he was pleased.
Nice. I think Morgan went back. I think we lost him.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
there
back.
you go.
There you go.
Boom.
We were just saying that you took off. You went back to Abbey Road or something. We're talking about Abbey Road.
Yeah, sorry, I'm too big for this now.
Yeah, exactly.
My driver is waiting outside, for fuck's sake.
Who do you guys think we're talking to?
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I mean, for
I've had
Abbey
the
Road,
opportunity. Yeah, sorry, man. We're just walking all over each other.
okay.
I'm just saying, I had the opportunity to go there twice, and I just I got to do the usual. I'm always embarrassed when you want to do the walkway like the Beatles, right? And then people just want to get to work and beep beep, let's go.
Yeah.
I wrote my name on the door, but I've seen pictures of David Gilmour, which is one of my idols, sitting on the steps. I mean, and all the legendary. So being in there, what was it like for you?
Yeah, I was totally overwhelmed and I was starstruck. Thankfully, there was nobody famous that I recognized, because I just have no control over. I'm not cool enough to be kind of stand back and go, I get totally overawed. When you walk in, the place is just covered with photographs of everyone who's worked at it, and it is
Everyone.
Like everyone. And then, you know, there was one of the mastering suites up on the second floor, and you're walking in, it's just all loads of tape machines. There's just gold discs after gold disc everywhere in the whole lot. And I didn't get the opportunity to go into any of the studios. Like the guy because like the whole thing, mastering, I don't know if you guys are aware of the process, but it doesn't take that long. Do you know what I mean? It probably takes about 40 minutes per song at the most. So, you know, I was in there, I was out by just after lunchtime. They had a bar downstairs, which was really nice.
Nice.
But it was an unbelievable experience. But like, it was one of those, like, you know, I'm here, what can I do? I don't know what to do. I just want to absorb it all. And
now what?
You know, and then, you know, okay, we're done. Okay, like I couldn't, you know, sneak into a studio and
I know,
hang around for the rest of the day. I had to go.
I know, same thing.
Security would have escorted me off.
I ended up once for a business meeting at Real World Studios with
wow.
And like they were tracking a jazz session, so I just got to walk through the studio and look as they were setting up. But you can't really stick around. I mean, you know, they got to work. But it was just the premises was so, you know, nice to see, and you know, it being Real World, but like Abbey Road, and we've all seen these that legendary room and the tracking and stuff. It's just like, I just figured, man, like, wow, you know, it's so cool to have gone in.
It's lovely to be in it, and just, you know, at least that's one thing off the bucket list done.
Was there any cool like memorabilia that you saw, like interesting guitars or?
No, I didn't see it. No, it was generally just like singles and gold discs and
pictures.
There was loads of old tape machines lying around, which was interesting. But nothing musical wise like that. Lots of builders, guys with drills, and steel toe cap boots. Do you know what I mean? And looking like they could be anywhere. Yeah. I think they were building a new part to something or other. I don't know. I was told, but I was just kind of at the time
wide-eyed at the whole thing, right?
Yeah,
it's insane. I would have been too. So I mean, to go in a studio like that's so legendary, because obviously London has so many. Is it like an insane rate to go mix and record at Abbey Road compared to other studios, or is it not that different?
No, it's not that different at all. In fact, in comparison to where we had before, I think it might have been even a bit cheaper. I think that's just a reflection, basically, of how good the quality of home recording has got. I think there's lots of people who have invested in mastering suites at home. So, you know, Abbey Road isn't as exclusive as it used to be. That's not to say, obviously, you're dealing with an engineer who's working in a world-class studio. Do you know what I mean? So it still is Abbey Road. But I think it's more a reflection of that. I think, you know, they do special rates for smaller bands as well, like us. It's, but without question, it's because of having worked with Dave that we were managed to get in there, because it was the guy that he had worked with before and then had got the job at Abbey Road. So he was the gateway in.
So
that's incredible.
You got lucky to pay to get your stuff done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's killer though. So I mean, man, so in terms of the upcoming gigs, what sort of prep are you guys doing to sort of get yourselves ready for that?
We're just
fit.
Yeah.
Just this?
Just this.
There we go.
You guys sound amazing.
Match fit, yeah. And honestly, just trying to drill the new guys, because, you know, they were parachuted in about 5 weeks ago. Then we all went on holiday. And now we've got like 4 weeks of hard practice till we launch.
Did they play that gig with you, the first gig?
No.
No.
Okay.
That was Matt. Matt is the original MDT bassist, who it was on his third stint in the band and flying over from Bulgaria to boot.
Wow.
And it was in Bulgaria that he slipped and hurt his knee, and which necessitated us having to get somebody else to come and play with us.
Now, do you guys ever see a point where your lineup will stay locked in, or do you like the fact that it's no? Okay. Simple answer.
I don't know. I'd like to think it's hard. It's impossible to predict.
Yeah.
But it's only I would only say no from experience, just because
right.
We
that's it.
Can't seem to lock it in. Something goes wrong. Unfortunately. I mean, it's better when you've got some when you build up some consistency. But these guys we're playing with now, they're pretty damn good. So, and we seem to be getting on. So fingers crossed.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what else can people expect from the record that maybe haven't heard it or don't know what to expect?
Wow.
That with Steve.
You guys, you've listened to this so many times. I know because I'm the same. You know?
I can't fucking hear it anymore.
You're like, just get it, put it out already.
Yeah. Could somebody else please listen to this bloody thing?
For the people who've heard us before, I expect that they will be pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
For the people who've never heard us, I hope that they're going to hang around. So I think the stuff is strong enough. It's certainly, from our perspective, the best that we could have done. And I reckon, I mean, if people already liked us, they're going to love this.
Yeah. Well, I know that you guys like have been on SoundMojo for the last couple of years, and like I've always had, like I was telling Cassius this, I was always like surprised at how you connected with the audience. Like they always get good comments, and people like, you know, like being surprised, like, wow, look at this, you know, like they always make the joke of like, I never check out the Mojo suggestions, but so glad I did with this band, you know, like, so I have a feeling when Armchair Politician starts to do the rotation, I'm really confident that it's going to be even better, you know.
Okay, thanks. That's lovely to hear. Cheers, Joe.
Yeah, it's super exciting, guys.
Well, we're going to build on that as well. We got another single lined up. Another song, the Chain Links. We just shot the video for that, and that's great. It's even better. I prefer it actually. I think it's great.
That was cool because like I put a note here, the Chain Links. You know, like wow, like your vocals are much more aggressive than normal, but you know, and then like even like Scratch and Sniff and Oi, I think Oi, if I'm pronouncing it correct. You know, it's like I love the harmonies. It almost sounds vocoded a bit.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a but it doesn't sound like there is. You know, so yeah, there's a lot of departures for you guys. I find, you know, in my opinion, like new sounds, but yet married well with what people know of MDT, you know?
Yeah.
100%. The brand new record is coming out everywhere on October 7th. It's called Wereman. And guys, we really appreciate you stopping by the show, and we can't wait to see how the concerts come out. We'll definitely be watching and listening.
Okay, thank you very much, Cassius. Thanks, Joe.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks again, guys.
We want to give a huge shout out to Steve and Morgan from MDT, the motorcycle display team, for joining us on episode number 94 of the Innersleeve Music Podcast. Like we said, guys, a super fun episode. If your cheeks don't hurt from smiling like mine did in the episode, you probably don't have a sense of humor, I think it's safe to say.
Whatever, yeah. No, but like they're funny, you know, and what I really liked is like every single video, it's like they take time with their videos, their ideas, you know, like I think we have like 9 or 10 videos of them now on the channel, and each one is unique, different, and it just works with their song, and like they have their own little brand, you know, and that's what I like about them.
100%. We appreciate them so much for stopping by, and we appreciate you guys for checking out episode number 94 of the Innersleeve Music Podcast. We're back every single week on Fridays, so make sure to subscribe on YouTube and our podcast platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Make sure to check us out every single week. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube and a 5-star rating on our audio platforms. We're almost at 30,000 subs as well on our YouTube channel, so thank you guys so much for helping us reach this milestone. We have daily content on the SoundMojo YouTube page, so again, make sure to go hit that sub and check out all the links to our social media down below in the description. We're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at SoundMojo. I think that just about covers it, Joe.
Yeah, and even the artists, like we have MDT's, all their info, links to the videos and stuff, their playlist. Yeah, definitely, you covered it, man.
Thanks so much for checking into this brand new episode of Innersleeve Music Podcast. We'll catch you guys next week.